All right, this next video is an exciting one for me. I'm gonna test 6 different 3S 5200 milliamp hour batteries against one another. I'm doing a long, comprehensive video. However, this is the short one where I summarize all the different test data I found to test the performance of these 6 3S batteries. If you want to see the long video, which will probably be close to 30 minutes, I'll provide a link in the video description. The 6 batteries tested are a Hubu, RC Power, Tindling, Ovonic, SiPom, and SMC. So I'm gonna go ahead and edit down the original video and give you guys a short version for those of you that don't want all the details, but certainly if you wanna see how I got the data and make sure it's legit, the long video is there to check out. All right, let's get started. And go ahead and we'll start now. This thing is really quick. I'm gonna turn it around, get back on it. Just gotta be careful not to flip it. Ease back to full throttle. .3 total, 3.45, 3.46, 3.48. 3.66, 3.66, 3.57. All right, so now I'm gonna go over the data from the 6 batteries I tested. Just a reminder, this is the short version of this video. There's a link to the longer version in the video description. It's about an hour long and it goes into much more detail on all parts of this video. So the claim capacity of the batteries were all pretty much met. Some of them had well over the claim capacity. However, those same batteries did not perform as well. So the extra capacity is really not meaningful because it's not in the usable range of the batteries. So what I mean by that is from 3.7 volts to 4.2 volts per cell, the higher performing batteries have way more capacity than the lower performing batteries. The Ovonic, Tindling, Hubu, and RC Power only have about 23 to 2500 milliamp hours of usable capacity in my Arrma Big Rock. And why that is the voltage sags in the Big Rock and the low voltage shutoff is set to 3.4 volts per cell. However, because of voltage sag in these first 4 batteries, it's around 3.7 volts per cell where it actually shuts off. And all the capacity below 3.7 volts in those batteries is not available for use. So any high draw RC vehicle is going to have issues with the first 4 batteries here and not being able to use all of their capacity. Now in a lower draw RC vehicle where there's not a whole lot of amp demand, these may be more satisfactory, but the run times are going to suffer greatly in a high performance or a high demand RC vehicle. Now in column H, you can see the voltages that the Arrma Big Rock's ESC shut it down at during the tall grass run. And the closer to the 3.4 volt shutoff that the battery was at the end of the test shows the less voltage sag it had. So the batteries up here had quite a bit of voltage sag and were only able to run down to about 3.7 volts per cell or a little lower before, when under load, they were actually at about 3.4 volts per cell. And again, that means a lot of the capacity in these batteries are unavailable. The SMC, for example, though, ran down below 3.5 volts per cell, using up much more of its capacity. If we scroll back over here, again, it had from 3.7 volts to full charge, almost 4,600 milliamp hours of capacity. So running down to 3.4 volts, it would have even more of that, possibly close to 5,000 milliamp hours, where these others only had about half of that. So they're not going to perform nearly as well and run nearly as long. And the SMC and SiPom therefore ran about twice as long under high load. If you have an RC vehicle that has even an even higher amp draw than my Arrma Big Rock, the differences would be even more noticeable. So in looking at the price of these, which we'll go into more detail later, it's important to note the runtime, because this SMC not only performs better and has higher top speeds than the others, it runs twice as long as several of these other batteries. The measured weight, the heavier a battery is, everything else being equal, is usually an indication that it's going to perform better because it tends to have more lithium cobalt oxide, or LCO, in it. And cheaper batteries have a blend of LCO and other materials and tend to weigh less. So that's a good way to tell how a battery is going to perform, just by looking at the weight of it. Now the side palm was a soft case, so it would have been a little heavier if it was a hard case. But the SMC was definitely the heaviest, and it performed the best. Now the top speed in the Traxxas Bandit VXL, they were all above 70, but the side palm and SMC were clearly above the others, with the SMC just really cleaning up at 76 miles an hour, or a full 5 miles an hour faster than the Uvonic in the Tindling. Now as far as price goes, I think it's really important to take in consideration that these first 4 batteries on a high load RC vehicle, you're not going to get nearly the long run times you would with the side palm and SMC. So the SMC ran twice as long, had twice as much usable capacity as these other first 4 batteries. So while it's more expensive, and when you add shipping into it, it's closer to $55 per battery, it's actually still a really strong value, because these batteries here are not going to provide nearly the runtime. They're not going to provide as much performance. Your car's not going to go as fast. They may not be as well built, and you have the inconvenience of charging 2 batteries, unplugging and plugging things in, putting a battery in the car, running it, removing it, putting another one in. The whole time you're only running one SMC to get the same performance, or actually even better performance. So that sums things up. If you want more detail, I really encourage you to go look at the long version of this video, because I just went over this real briefly and hit some of the highlights. Well, let me know, which of these 6 batteries did you pick? I actually have been in talks with a company called rcbattery.com, and they're going to send me several of their batteries. One of the models is called Superior. They're pretty highly rated online. They're going to be up against some stiff competition, but they seem to believe in their product, so I'm excited to test theirs out. Not only are they going to send me batteries to test in my Arrma Big Rock and my Traxxas Bandit, but they're also going to send me a battery I can test in my hay boxing boat, and I'm going to test a Li-ion battery against one of their LIPO batteries. So stay tuned. Please like this video, and if you can subscribe, that would be great as well. Take care, guys. Thanks.